As summer comes to an end, some of you may have done a lot. Internships, summer classes, traveling to another country, while others of us are left here thinking, I'm really gonna go homeless one day, aren't I? It seems like when break or vacation starts, we have radio silence from our ambition, our sense of drive. We reach monk levels of non-greed. But how do we carry out those things that we want to do? How do we stay motivated? I've always enjoyed studying physics, at least the theory. The class is hard. And that's because physics is to philosophy what neurology is to psychology. Physics and neurology are real. Philosophy and psychology are not. In physics, one of the most popular and ubiquitous laws is Newton's 3 laws of motion. In this video, we're going to look at the first one, inertia. An object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an external force. If I throw a rock in outer space, it will keep going forever until it touches the gravity of another celestial body. What does this have to do with motivation? Well, your brain works off the same principle of motion. The best way to be motivated to do something is to start doing the thing. If you start doing something, you're much more likely to continue doing it. Furthermore, although a sun or a black hole may not stop your movement, a notification, someone calling your name, or the realization that you haven't done your daily I will be right back. Another principle in physics is friction. There's two kinds of friction: kinetic friction and static friction. Kinetic friction is the friction between an object in motion and the surface that it's moving on. Kinetic friction is the minimum force required to keep an object in motion. Static friction is the friction that keeps an object still. Maximum static friction is the minimum amount of friction required to make an object begin to move. Although kinetic and static friction depend on the materials and some other factors, the maximum static friction between two objects will always be greater than the kinetic friction between those same objects. Translating this back to motivation, it will always be harder to start doing something than to keep doing something. With these two principles in physics, we can conclude that the most integral part in doing something is to start doing it. However, we can also conclude that the hardest part about doing something is to start doing it. So that's definitely a bit unfortunate, isn't it? But at least we know what we need to do. We need to start doing it. That's the solution. If you watch other self-help videos, you may have heard of the 5-minute rule, where you commit to doing whatever you want to do for just 5 minutes, and at the end of it, you can stop. However, since you've already started, you'll probably continue doing it. Inertia. And this works because committing to 5 minutes is a lot easier to commit to than, say, an hour. It makes the barrier of entry much shorter. But what I've talked about on this channel and what I believe in is something a little bit more permanent. Famous author Stephen King says that he writes,
I try to get out there and I try to get 6 pages a day.
And that's about 4 to 5 hours per day for him. And he doesn't take any days off, no weekends, no vacations, every single day. He writes those 6 pages. And speaking of physics, in that same conversation, he does say that
entropy tries to intervene.
And the cool thing is that in that same conversation again, he was asked if there were ever any days where his brain juices just weren't flowing. And
you don't ever have a day where you sit down there and it's like constipation and you write a sentence and you hate the sentence and
okay.
You check your email and you wonder if you had any talent after all, and maybe you should have been a plumber. Don't you have days like that?
No, I mean, there's real life.
And he said,
and you do hit 6 pages a day?
I usually do.
Overall, consistency gives us 2 things. First, consistency makes doing things easier. You become more used to doing it and the action becomes automatic. You don't have to think or convince yourself to brush your teeth every morning. It's a habit. Motivation is volatile. It's not reliable. It comes and it goes. Consistency will not only make you do your projects, but it will let you keep doing those projects. The other thing that consistency gives you is priming your brain to work. If you do the same thing every day, especially at the same time every day, your brain will be more prepared to do that thing. For King, this is getting the plot, the story, his characters, everything at the forefront of his mind so that he can write his 6 pages. This can be advantageous for creative projects, of course, but even for mathematical or STEM projects, it's really helpful to prime your brain to do whatever you want to do in the time frame that you set. Overall, consistency will decrease the static friction required to start doing something. Although at the beginning, when you're starting to form the habit, it will definitely be there. Yes, full admission on that one. But other than decreasing the static friction and making it easier to do stuff, consistency will also decrease the kinetic friction so that when you do things, then even when you are doing them or while you're doing them, you'll be more focused when you do. The part people forget about consistency is the stopping part. King doesn't write more than 6 pages a day, really, and you shouldn't be working for 10 hours straight and you'll burn yourself out. I mean, if you're starting a business, you're probably going to be working minimum 16 hours a day, but you can worry about that when you get there. Don't think about it for now. For now, set a start time, set an end time, and stay within the lines. Overall, physics is cool, starting things is hard, distractions suck, and consistency is the key to everything. I have a lot more to say about motivation in an episode that I will be releasing on my podcast next week, so if you want to hear that, if you want to hear more about motivation, maybe I'll do some research if I have time, I'm not sure, then go find the Seriously Funny podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'll also leave a link in the description. For now, hit the like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this one. This is all. I will see you in the next. Much love. Peace.